Episode 237. Unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And thank God it's Tuesday, right? Welcome to the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. One thing you deal with when running an Airbnb, for instance, is that you deal inevitably with expectations. Now, you try to be clear enough that, you have an offering and what this offering includes. You provide pretty photographs and, you're pretty specific about your standards, and all of those kind of things that paint the full picture of the thing you have to offer. Now, there are always going to be delusional people who expect to pay for something, a fraction of the cost of something they would have to otherwise pay shitloads of money for. And that's an example you run into everywhere. Now, there are justified complaints, of course, always, because, shit happens. But there are those that are really ostentatious, and in the hospitality industry, they're often referred to as whinging palms. Now, to make a long story short, this thing was, or this example was just, something that I experienced really a long while ago. Sorry for the jittering and vibrations. That was the mic that I had to adjust to give you better audio quality. No, I was standing kind of crooked, so I had to adjust it, but I didn't want to really pause the recording. Anyhow, the idea behind this episode is how to learn from unhappy customers. And you're always going to have those, but it's important to differentiate. And that's what we're going to go through today after the housekeeping bit, which we will, do every day from here on forth and really always. Number one of which is that, sharing is caring. Every day we have Groundhog Day, where I preach this into your ears, hopefully for it to stick somewhere, because of an experience, of many experiences, but one really stood out, and that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where somebody wrote me an email out of the blue and said, look, I accidentally more or less found an episode of your podcast in a friend's social feed. And I binged really all of the content that you'd published, and it really, really, really improved my life over the last month or so. So in that sense, throw the hook in the water, and make someone's life better by sharing these podcast episodes through your, favorite social feed. Or if you have someone that is, in a situation where they could particularly benefit from a particular episode, make sure to share it their way, and, through your podcast app of choice, or otherwise, through whatever, the website, the very best podcast in the world.com. We've got all the social, blinking icons there to make it easier for you to, send it to a friend or whatever it's called nowadays. I'm getting old. Number 2, views my own, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Item number 3 on the bucket list for today. Is that actually a bucket list? I don't know. It's pretty late. Is that I'm in major remodeling mode in a large variety of ways. You notice I'm getting tired. I'm slurring, and I've got this really bad deep voice today because I've got tons of drill dust, on my lungs and in my nose and pretty much everywhere else, in all nooks and crannies. And so the episodes are going to be a tidbit shorter than normal. All of that out of the way. How are we going to learn from unhappy customers, and why should we do so? Well, number one, as I said in the introduction, shit happens, and you should always consider that. It just really, really, really happens always, and there's no way or no instrument that you can completely eradicate that from happening, because you can implement all of the Kaizens that you want and all of the agile workflows that you want and all of the Six Sigma black belts in the world can only take the edge off. They will more likely than not never reach pure perfection. That's just out of the question, right? Because, we've got people in organizations, and people make mistakes. People are tired. People, like me, have sawdust on their lungs, drill dust, and are tired or whatever. And then, things kind of start to go south, sometimes exponentially quickly. Is that really, I don't know, in a negative way. But anyhow, long story short, what you have to distinguish between is actual feedback and then the bullshit whinging that a lot of your customers will do to lower the price, get the best out of you, and that kind of ordeal, right? It's this belief system that is totally flawed and in a lot of people's heads, that you pay an insurance premium and you have to get it back somehow, right? Now, for those of you who still believe that, let me give you a visual, right? You've got a house. It's worth $1 million. You pay a premium of, I don't know, let's say $1,000 a year, right? So why in hell would you feel entitled to get your $1,000 a year back when, in the case that your house is destroyed totally, the insurance is going to have to cough up $1 million to get you another house, right? You following me? That your math is kind of really fucked up. So anyhow, that's one of the really fucked up things which people have in their heads about insurances. And it's an international thing. I came across this really all across the globe, but particularly in Western Europe, this kind of belief system is out there, right? This flawed math that, you pay something, you need to get something out, which you will if shit happens, but not, for you to break even every year. How did I get there? I don't know. It's about this complaining situation and this flawed perception. So I've mentioned many times we run quite the successful Airbnb. And, sometimes you will get guests that have the expectation that they're going to move into the Hilton, right? And we provide, a fully furnished, very well furnished, 120 square meter. What's that in feet? I don't know, like 400 square feet. Is that times 3? I think so. No idea. 400 to 500 square feet, of really pristinely equipped living space, right? Something you would at the Hilton or any other, real, more or less fancy hotel pay, north of $1,000 a night for. I've known, I know this because I've been there, right? And the thing is that you have a lot of people who come with this flawed expectation that they get what they would at the Hilton for the price, for a tenth of the price, right? And this doesn't go to say that we don't have quality standards, right? The place is immaculately clean. You get fresh sheets, and fresh bedding, obviously. You get your, pretty much all the amenities you get in the hotel. But, it's not a hotel, right? And we don't have restaurants and that kind of ordeal, right? And that's the drawbacks that you have along with something else. So what I'm meaning is you have to determine between those people who come in, who know what they buy, right? And who know what the quality of the product is that they're getting or the service, or if they want a higher standard, they have to pay a premium price, right? And that's something you really have to differentiate. Now, we've been on this excursion for almost 5 minutes, and I've almost talked myself out of the original point of the title of the episode, which is, well, how do you learn from unhappy customers? Well, after you've weeded out the bullshit complaints, and those people wanting to get the better of you, what you do is you really, really, really write down all the stuff that the customers make you aware of, and you deal with it, right? For instance, one guest had torn off the knob of the shower head adjustment thingamajigger in one of the bathrooms, right? So I addressed the issue, right? But then, things started to happen. I wanted to repair it myself, which wasn't possible because the glider, as it's called, is not available in the size that I needed. So I've been running after it for about 2 weeks to get something that is adequately and fitting. But that's the way how you learn from unhappy customers. Not necessarily that the customers that the customer was whinging or complaining, but they were making me aware. So it's this polite dialogue, this polite bilateral dialogue between customer and service representative. Now, you could go the other way and say, yeah, we will most certainly take care of it, disregard it, throw it away, and that's it, right? But the thing is that you have to have a policy in place where if it's not you, but it's one of your personnel kind of receiving that kind of feedback, that you make damn sure that they write it down, that they can be held accountable if the customer reviews negatively, and says, look, we've had this and that experience. It was negative. And we told the hotel staff that this was the case. And then the general manager of the property, for instance, gets wind of that and says, hey, why don't I know about this, right? You were talked to, right? This is accountability, and this is the responsibility that you have to put in place in form of a policy to get every piece of feedback, be it positive or negative, into the system that you can actually address and appropriately deal with it, right? Now, where's the thing with unhappy customers, right? Those are the whingers. Those are the people who want to get the better of you. We want to kind of take them seriously, if they're worth it, right? But we don't necessarily have to. It's that kind of thing where you're supposed to be taken advantage of because these people look and scour for anything that is and may be considered as negative, right? And those people we don't want to learn from. However, what we don't want is unhappy customers, right? Like actual customers who pay what they are supposed to receive. So, if something in your shop is, out of order, you want to address that immediately. And that's really what this episode was all about, because only then, when you feed all of the feedback into the system, address it and take care of it, are you going to be able to improve your product or service. And I've really been rambling about this for a quarter of an hour while I think the title was self-explanatory. So in that case, I hope you have a nice rest of your Tuesday, and that we're going to be back again tomorrow when we're going to talk about journaling, which I kind of started out, I think, yesterday. But I think so. It's been long nights. So the details are kind of foggy. But have a nice rest of your Tuesday. Keep your hands above the blanket. Take care of yourselves. And we'll be back in touch tomorrow when we're going to talk about journaling one way or the other. Haven't really thought of a title. Peace out. Take care. See you tomorrow.